Welcome back to the ACC, guys. This is our bowl predictions.
Yeah.
Ooh, ready to go bowling. It's that time of year all over again. I'm Mike. That's Steve. I'm just going to ignore him. Screw this guy. If you can't tell yet, we are actually brothers.
And if you can't tell, we're FSU fans, so we really don't know what bowling is.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we haven't been there in a while. It's kind of weird. What's a bowl game? But this is a pick it out. Me and him both made our choices. Now it's mostly as trying to figure out which ACC team is going to what bowl, like our prediction there. But we are going to try and discuss possible teams that they could play. We're not going to predict both, like who they're actually playing just yet, because there's still a lot of shaking up that could happen. So these are our predictions, and I think you want to start at the bottom, work your way up to the
I'll start at the bottom. I want to start at lowest bowl, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, and I have Miami upsetting Pitt at the end of the year. And since I picked them to upset, they would be the last team in the ACC to become bowl eligible. And honestly, I feel like that would be a fit for them. It's going to be one of the lower tier bowls, so I feel like that would be a good spot for them to go. And they have they travel pretty well. I mean, they got fans in all places because of the brand of Miami. So, I mean, it'd be a situation where it'd be a good matchup for them.
Yeah. Me personally, I don't have Miami qualifying for a bowl. If you paid attention to our picks, so I mean, if they do go, I could see them playing here, which they would play a team out of the American Athletic Conference, which could be interesting because we could see a Miami UCF matchup.
Well, that would be interesting. That would be good. I would be interested in seeing that.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice. Be a weird spot for the two teams to play. I feel bad for those boys.
Well, that's what happens though when you lose the names.
Yeah, like, oh man.
No, I don't think UCF would fall that far.
Yeah,
as far as picking and getting the whole thing, they're still in the hunt. Be it it's a longer shot now.
Yeah,
they're still in the hunt to get the at large bid.
It's possible, yeah.
There's still a lot of teams contending for that, and it helps with some of the wins they have. So
yeah, it definitely helps with that. I mean, Navy does help. Navy as a loss doesn't help them, but we'll see. Next, we're going to have the Military Bowl. Really nice bowl ACC's been connected to for quite some time, and we're actually in agreement with what team we think should actually go into this bowl game. And that's Syracuse, which I think is a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a solid one. They don't have the best record they possibly could have, even another loss. By the time it comes around, it'll be an American Athletic Conference team. So I think Syracuse would still give a good fight against that team. I don't think they necessarily dominate whoever they play. So it'd be kind of interesting to see. And it's a pretty good spot for them.
I would say it'd be an interesting matchup to see who they might end up getting. Like we said, we're not really predicting the teams they play. We're just might throw some names out there. But
yeah,
as far as Syracuse, definitely I can say that right now, early on, this is our early predictions for bowls. I have a good idea where I think the ACC teams are going to go, but as far as like other teams, I gotta admit, I gotta really look at the AAC and some of these other conferences because I'm not sure where their teams would fall or lay in this. But I know a lot of times too, when it comes to the smaller schools, it's going to be dependent upon, where the bowl is and travel. I mean, those are the kind of things that could get expensive. So that's why I think the Syracuse, that fits them. They're not going to a big bowl. They started 6-0, and they're probably going to finish. Worst case scenario, they're going to finish 6-6. So,
and one thing to be clear with, if you don't quite follow how bowls are selected, there's different tier levels, and it's not so much about where a team is ranked or anything. It's about, these bowls are really trying to find the best matchup possible. They're trying to find people that can bring fans there and that's going to be entertaining on TV because they got to make that money.
Yes.
We don't want to see bowls falling away. This is still something that's more tradition at this point, especially college football playoff maybe expanding in the future. So it's still tradition, though. This is where college football found its roots, was playing bowl games. Not all of these were around, but they were still there. Now, I'm going to take my pick on this next one, and you can let people, since we both have a pick for this bowl, we'll talk about yours as well. the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. If that's not a freaking mouthful. SDCCU Holiday Bowl. Let's do that. But no, the Holiday Bowl, I picked Duke. This is an ACC versus a Pac-12 matchup. I think Duke could possibly match up pretty decently because this wouldn't be, in my opinion, I think a better Pac-12 team goes to the Sun Bowl. So this won't be a higher ranking Pac-12 team. And I think Duke is good enough. Maybe you find a Pac-12 team that has a good basketball team as well. And so you have that kind of matchup there. Like, football teams that made the bowl that actually are better at basketball. But, hopefully it's not. I wouldn't see Duke making it there if it's like a Utah or somebody.
Yeah.
But, it is definitely, I think, is a good fit for them. As we move forward to, like, some of my other picks, you'll see why.
Yeah. And when it comes to like bowl game, I went a different direction. I picked Pitt to be in this bowl game because I feel like they're going to want a fan base that travels well. And I know in the NFL, Pitt don't want to travel better for Pittsburgh fans, but honestly, in the ACC, Pitt fans travel pretty well too. And they have a good fan base, and I could see them, showing out for a bowl like that. Plus, it's a good matchup. You would have their defensive style and one of the best running backs in the country going against the Pac-12 team. So it'd be a fun game to watch. I think it's better than Duke, just because I don't think Duke's style would match a good TV ratings for what they're looking for a game like that. So I can see where the bowl would probably reach out for Pitt. They're trying to get Pitt. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and start the next one then. The next one is the Pinstripe Bowl. And honestly, I feel like it's not a far travel for them. And for them, this is really important. The bowl that's going to select them is going to want to select one that doesn't make them travel extremely far. So I have Louisville going to the Pinstripe Bowl. It's a good matchup for them versus a Big Ten team. They can definitely play defense toe-to-toe with the Big Ten team and make that a very close and fun game to watch.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it would be pretty fun watching Louisville play against Big Ten team. But when I think of Big Ten teams, I think of teams in that footprint already, right? So it's going to make it not only a big game for the fan bases, but maybe some other people can come in and buy it too. And it's a Pinstripe Bowl. It's not too far from Pittsburgh. So I went with Pitt on this one. I thought it would be a good matchup. I think Pitt's defense really fits that kind of like the way Pitt plays football right now. That's like traditional Big Ten football. And Big Ten fans would get excited about that. I mean, back when people were talking about conference realignment, people were trying to put Pitt into the Big Ten, right?
Yes.
Which probably wouldn't happen. But, I mean, so for me, that's a really good matchup with any type of Big Ten team that they're going to play. Because it's going to be fun to watch. Because you're going to see a lot of defense. You're going to see a lot of yards from running. You're going to see Slovis throwing picks and throwing touchdowns. It's just, he likes to keep it even for some reason. He's got to keep that 1-for-1 ratio. Yeah, I mean, for me, that was just my go-to pick. I like it. Them going to Pinstripe Bowl, like I said, it's already in their footprint. So not very far travel for them, and it drives up the area. There's people that are going to know that in that area. So it'll be nice to see. Now you have the Cheez-It Bowl. I didn't really care about where it was located. I chose Louisville for this one mainly because it's a Big 12 team. And the Big 12 has had kind of a weird year. I don't know if it's because Lincoln Riley left and went to the Pac-12, but it seems like there's better defense being played in the Big 12 this year. And I mean, there's still some offenses that are putting up some scores. I mean, they're not playing super fantastic defense, but I think Louisville, this would be a great game if it's Louisville against, some people mentioned possibly Texas going to this game, maybe like a Baylor or somebody. That would be fun for me, watching Louisville play one of those teams. Because I think there is enough there. There's enough, past players, enough people that's been to Louisville or likes Louisville football, at least curious to see. And with the way they've been playing defense recently, I think people are just going to show up to the game just to see what that defense will do.
Yeah.
So
there's some good matchups there. I went in a different direction, obviously, because I already had Louisville in another bowl. So I went with NC State. I think NC State has the chance against a Big 12 team to make it a good, fun, competitive game. One matchup that comes to mind for me would be NC State Kansas. That would be a fun game to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I think those two teams match up really well, and it would be an entertaining matchup, definitely for both the ACC and Big 12 fans. So I could see it going in that direction, and NC State definitely a good fit there for the Cheez-It Bowl. Now, when it comes to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, honestly, I kind of did this as a little bit as a joke, but at the same time, I do think they could go there. But who better to be in the Duke's Mayo Bowl than Duke?
I mean, there's not really much connection there.
There's no connection at all. But no, seriously, I think Duke, because I picked them to win the last game of the season, they finished strong. I think people are going to look for them, and that's a good matchup for them. They're playing a Big Ten team. This is definitely a good spot for them, and it's a chance for Mike Elko to shine after he brought this team back from what looked like they were going to have a horrible year, bottom of the ACC, and here they are, middle of the pack. And if they pull out a win at the end of the season, this is a team that can finish strong and look good. They could be an 8-win team. So, I mean, that in itself, I think Duke's deserved it.
Yeah.
They could give them a better bowl.
You know what? Yeah, I like that. I like to see Elko put some mayonnaise on it. Really get it going. I can't wait for him. I'd love to see his comment for why he lost the game. Like Mac Brown last year, I didn't want to get mayo dumped on me. Of course I lose that game. Yeah, me personally, I went with NC State here because it is a Big Ten matchup. Once again, I'm looking for teams that are going to match up together, right? And NC State it's once again someone else that matches up well against a Big Ten team. Really good defense, not a whole lot of offense. Their offense is just kind of everywhere. It's not quite there. Now, granted, with their most recent injuries, NC State might drop in what bowl picks them up. I could see NC State flopping with a Pitt or Syracuse. Because you got a 4-string quarterback that might even opt out of a bowl game, but that's my pick there. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be enjoyable, and I don't go for dad jokes when I'm picking bowl games. So I try those at other times. That's what I'm here for. I do the entertaining. Okay, you do the statistics. But no. Moving into the next one, we got Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. It's great. So I picked Wake Forest for this one. Okay, it's Wake Forest versus a Pac-12 team. Wake Forest plays like a East Coast version of a Pac-12 team. Hardly any defense, but good Lord, are they going to put up some points. And honestly, I think they match up with pretty much any team in the Pac-12. I mean, I would love to see this. Oregon versus Wake Forest. I don't think it would. Like that. Can you imagine Bo Nix versus Sam Hartman?
Yeah.
The guy that everyone thinks is good and the guy that's actually proved that he's good?
I don't think that's happening, but I mean...
that wouldn't happen, but that would be fantastic to see. I think that's more of a possible, matchup for a different game. But, I mean, I could see him playing one of those Pac-12 teams that's kind of high-flying, having some fun. So, that's why I went with Wake. And...
I agree with you here. I took Wake. I mean, I'm taking Wake because I feel like you're right. They would see that as a great team. And wherever you stick Wake, let's face it, their fans are going to decently travel, but it's not a big name school. So you might as well go for the matchup value and the market value of what you're going to put out there and get your TV ratings. And that's what Wake will bring you, especially against a Pac-12 team. It'll be a nice, fun shootout. And I feel like that's definitely a pool that bowl would go for and that bowl would make. And so we're in agreement. May not be the same reason why we picked them, but we both put them there. Yeah. And I mean, now we can go ahead and just go to the next bowl, which is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl here in Jacksonville. And honestly, I like this pick. I picked UNC, and here is why I picked UNC. Because of what happened to Tennessee, this could be an interesting opportunity to put the most prolific offense in the SEC this year. I mean, granted, versus what happened last game. But they were one of the most prolific offenses throughout the year in the ACC, and the SEC. And North Carolina was one of the most prolific offenses in the ACC at one point, too. Yeah. So you're talking about, you put these two offenses against each other. How much fun would that be to watch on TV?
Yeah. Like,
Like, these two teams, I'm about to say, these two teams could get 1,000 yards total.
People are going to get confused because they're going to think that it's the UNC versus Tennessee basketball game.
I know.
Like, there's just going to be stupid numbers. Like, I mean, I don't know if Tennessee could score as many points with Milton at the helm because I don't think Hendon Hooker comes back. Even if he's healthy, I think Hendon Hooker goes, you know what, I'm going to the league. Let me just sit out for this game. And I wouldn't blame him. Like, you get injured. Yeah, let's just, because it's an ACL. Like, he hurt his ACL. He could be out for a while, So that's kind of tough to see for that for that young man anyways. But, yeah, I mean, we're in agreement on pretty much every bowl after this. And I just like it. Like you said, I like the fact of seeing UNC and possibly Tennessee play each other. That could be a fun game. Now, next, we have the Orange Bowl, which we're both in agreement with. And it's probably, if you kind of get an idea of it, you're not going to be surprised as to who we're going with. We're going with Florida State in the Orange Bowl. They're going to be the second highest ranked team in the conference at that time, which that's who gets the bid. It's not the legit number 2 by win percentage. It's the number 2, like, highest ranked. And Florida State has a possibility to maybe be in the top 15 by the time this comes around for selection. So they definitely could be in there. And there are just so many different combinations you can do with Florida State at the Orange Bowl. I mean, Florida State and the Orange Bowl go together just so well. Yeah. I mean, it is just the sweetest thing you ever had. So they could play Notre Dame. They could play any of the SEC teams. I mean, you could have Florida State-Alabama matchup if you wanted it. Or a Florida State-LSU rematch from the beginning of the season, which is super awesome.
Now, that depends on Auburn upsetting Alabama.
Yeah, that depends on that.
Because in the rankings, they would have Bama ahead of LSU, even though LSU beat them. So
And LSU still has to play Georgia in the SEC championship, so they could take another loss there and take a dip late, which could help Alabama become the number 2 team. But, I mean, Florida State could end up playing Notre Dame as well, and Notre Dame's been playing some good football. They're getting themselves up there in the rankings. I think they're higher ranking than any of the ACC teams right now. But I don't see them getting into the college football playoff because, you got to join a conference, buddy. So, I mean, I could see that as a possibility as well. There's just too many combinations. I think Florida State is a lock going forward right now. Now, there could be some things to change that.
Yeah.
So we'll see going into the future. Now, next, I didn't make a choice of this, but Notre Dame does count for ACC Bowl selections. So we figured as a little choice we could have Notre Dame be in a bowl. I think Orange Bowl is a possibility, but not as much. So I'm in agreement with you that ReliaQuest Bowl would possibly be a destination for Notre Dame because they have, as part of their contract with it, they can take any ACC bid, like tie-in, and except for the Orange Bowl, but they have their own special tie-in with the Orange Bowl. So basically they could take any ACC bowl if they wanted to.
And here's the scenario for that to happen, though. You talked about FSU, and I agree with you. I also have FSU going to the Orange Bowl. And, in that scenario with FSU going to the Orange Bowl, like you said, could be the highest ranked SEC team, which could be Alabama. Unless Auburn upsets Alabama, then it could still be LSU after losing Georgia. LSU could still be the highest ranked SEC team, so it'd be a fun rematch. That was one of the possibilities you put out there. So, and you also talk about Notre Dame. They could make it an FSU Notre Dame game. Yeah. Now, the reason why I put Notre Dame in the ReliaQuest Bowl is because the ACC would get a bid to the ReliaQuest if the ACC plays against the Big Ten team in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
So my prediction for who FSU plays in the Orange Bowl is actually a really fun one. Florida State versus Michigan in the Orange Bowl. And that would be a rematch of the last time these two teams played each other in the Orange Bowl. Remember, Dalvin Cook single-handedly won that game for Florida State when it looked like the game was over. And some Michigan came storming back. Well, and he still did a great job.
You got to remember Murray's big catch to start the first half.
And Murray's big catch starts. But I mean, that was an exciting game. It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
And if we can get Florida State versus Michigan again, oh man, I would enjoy watching that in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
That would be a great one. Harbaugh going against Harbaugh again.
Yeah. Harbaugh's like crazy antics and just feel free attitude, having fun, and Mike Norvell's like straight to business all the time. Sounds like he's preaching a sermon to you every day. That's a nice like back and forth right there.
And like I said, that's a scenario that puts Notre Dame, because the ACC would get another bid. And I don't think they would take anybody else from the ACC. They would be like, listen, we can take Notre Dame. So they'll take Notre Dame as the ACC team because, like you said, Notre Dame could be substituted for any ACC team.
Yeah.
So the Black House Bowl would be a great fit for them in that situation. That being said, most likely the scenario, they're going to let Notre Dame go to the Orange Bowl. It's going to be FSU Notre Dame in this scenario because the reason why we have even FSU going to the Orange Bowl is because Clemson makes the playoffs. Clemson has to make the playoffs for this to happen for FSU. We both think Clemson will make the playoffs because we're predicting, as far as the season, the way it plays out, we feel like USC will lose a game. And we also feel like the loser of Ohio State Michigan will be Michigan. Michigan's strength of schedule will drop them down. Yeah. And Clemson gets into the playoffs. I mean, you can't leave them out at that point. I feel like that would have to be the team that you put in. Yeah, it's a one-loss conference champion versus a one-loss of either point. Because I kind of feel like USC will possibly lose in the Pac-12 championship. And, I mean, they could drop the ball before then. They still have a... excuse me. They still have a rivalry game this weekend against Cal. Yes, they do. And, I mean, you say what you want to. Like, Cal could surprise them. So, you never know. I mean... But like you said, this is one of those things that, yes, if Clemson doesn't make it into the playoffs, then this changes a lot because Clemson would get that Orange Bowl bid. Or the Orange Bowl might just opt out of the whole thing, just take Notre Dame instead. Oh, well, no, they can't. My bad. They could do Clemson. My bad. It'd be Notre Dame playing another ACC team. Yeah. So that could still work out to where then we're arguing, does Notre Dame take the Lycra from FSU? And FSU goes to the Cheez-It Bowl or one of the other ones. Yeah. Right? Or the Gator Bowl. In that scenario, if Clemson doesn't make the playoffs, obviously, like you said, Clemson's in the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame could end up then still going to the Orange Bowl because I can see people being like, man, Notre Dame Clemson would be a fun rematch. So that could be a possibility. That would be fun to watch. If they did that, then... the ReliaQuest Bowl is out. The ACC won't get the bid there. There'll be a Big Ten team instead. And because of that, then, I think FSU would actually go to the Gator Bowl. Jacksonville's a good place for them. Yes, FSU travels well, and you can send them to a lot of places. But the Gator Bowl will be a better fit for them then. Yeah. And they're undefeated. I can see some other matchups that people are talking about. Possible teams FSU could play in the Gator Bowl. And, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there. And you could really, honestly, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and decide, you know what, I'll take Florida State and Florida, rematch them again. They just play each other. Let's make them play one more time. But that's depending on what happens. The Gator Bowl, you still get high enough with the SEC, and you can still see, one of the better SEC teams against Florida State as well. It could, but it's a tier system, and it really comes down to selection who you want. Yeah. I mean, I've heard talks that if South Carolina could be a team that goes to the Gator Bowl. So really, like I said, it's a tier system. It's all about travel. Yeah. The bowls are trying to make the most money they can, especially since with the playoff system, you're in this advantage. Now with the playoffs, like the other bowls aren't making as much. That's why there's been some of the struggle there's been in college football. So. Make sure you turn on TV, watch some of these other bowls. That's what college football is about. Yeah. Don't get sucked into just the playoffs because let me tell you something. The playoffs isn't just it in college football. There's a lot of heart, a lot of things go into these bowl games. Well, just don't believe the mantra of the SEC. They lost because hashtag it just means more. Yeah. But I mean, hell, at this point, I'd rather be in the it just means more conference than be in the conference that hashtag we pay less. So I think we could spend with the off season coming up. We definitely could spend like an entire episode talking about
how to actually build a deal. Like, ACC could use some help with that these days. But yeah, I mean, this is our bowl predictions. Let us know how you did, like how you did. How did you do on the bowl predictions that we made? Just checking them off, making sure we were right.
You stole your picks and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you do because you watched us.
Yeah, we've been tracking your Twitter. But no, please go ahead, subscribe, like, all the fun stuff there. Leave a review, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Let us know what games you predict. I don't know what predict means. I don't know
what you're trying to protect. But
protected. This is our house. Let us know what bowl game you predict, and have a little bit of fun with it. And I hope you enjoy the bowl season, because with the bowl season comes the holidays. So safe travels with everybody, and I can't wait to start talking to you during the off. Well, I mean, we still have picks to do for the next couple weeks.
Hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, wherever you want. Leave us a comment, leave us some questions, and we'll throw them on the show. And we'll see who we're talking to about it. And eventually, we'll get in some spaces with you. And we'll sit there, we'll talk. And, my dream and vision for spaces is I eventually want to get to a point where we maybe have some fun one day and we run an all-day football party space where everybody just gets in, everybody's watching different games, and we're all just talking about games. It's just a room full of people talking about football and watching football.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. That way your Twitter space can sound like the bar that you're in.
Exactly.
So it'll be fantastic. But that's Steve. I'm Mike. Thanks for watching ACC, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.